Greetings, I am Rob Chappers. Deactivation of the BCAM initiation done. I am here from Optimus Prime to save the world. More importantly, give you an insight into the pentatonic scales. Scale means ladder in Latin, and ladders are useful for climbing things, and we're going to be climbing the world of rock and metal together, and possibly blues, by learning these fascinating scales. Now, I gave you the first one in lesson 3, which was called blues or something like that. I can't remember what I named it, but there are 5 of them. 5 pentatonic scales containing 5 notes. There's something odd and inspiring about the fact that it's 5 and 5. Now, I'm just going to give you the 5 shapes, but before we do, I want to talk to you about why, how to practice them, how to visualize them, what to do with them, all that kind of shenanigans. So the first thing to realize is that although I'm saying there are 5 scale shapes, really and truly, there's only one. It just covers the whole fretboard. It's all these notes swimming around. But to play a scale that covered the entire fretboard would be a massive pain in the ass and quite difficult for people to memorize. So what human beings have done is they've gone, well, there's one massive scale, but we'll chop it up into little bits and then number them 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, like section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4 and section 5. So those are the 5 pentatonic positions or scales. They're sections of one big mother scale. And as you learn them and link them in your mind, what you're gaining is access to the mother, which is what we all need really in our lives. So the first one that you learn is called position 1 because it starts on the root note if you're playing minor pentatonic music. So let me just put my upper back on, thank you Silverback, activate BCAM, and clap sync. So here is the, I can call tap and everything. Here's position 1 in the key of A. By the way, I'm in E flat, so here's some tuning notes. If you are a complete beginner, congratulations on choosing a great instrument. And you might want to know that sometimes people tune to what they call standard tuning. Sometimes they tune every string down a semitone or a half step or 1 fret to E flat tuning. Sometimes they tune down to stupid depths and delve the dark monstrous seas of tone. But today I'm in E flat, which is quite a common tuning for all sorts of rock and blues stuff because it tends to fit well with a male vocal range. So yeah, here's position 1. First finger on the 5th fret, E string, that's an A note, and that's our root or our 1 intervallically. So like I said, it starts on a root note and therefore it's position 1. Now if I was to play the same scale, just going along the guitar on 1 string, you'd get this. And each of the blues scales positions starts from one of those notes. So So let's go through each of those positions nice and swiftly. Of course you can learn these online from Google. Just Google image search 5 pentatonic scales positions and you'll find them all there. That is the majority of the work for any guitar player in the first year of playing, is to memorize these scale shapes and then do linking exercises, and that's what we're going to be doing in this video for you. So let's start with position 2, which starts on the 2nd note of the pentatonic scale, which is in A, is here. That's a C note, by the way. Now I would start with my 2nd finger to play the scale. Follow the fingering if you can. on to our third scale, which starts here on the 10th fret E string. Position 4 in A starts on the 12th fret, like this. And finally, position 5 starts up here on the 13th, 14th, 15th fret. And after position 5, you've travelled a full octave, so you're back at position 1 again. So you see, you've got a full circle. Scales connect like that. So if I'm playing 1 back here, just give you a different kind of tone. If I go backwards a tone, I get to position 5. So it's important to realise kind of where you are in the grand scheme of the scale. If I'm at position 5 and I go backwards, I'm at position 4. So, yeah, let's talk about connecting these scale shapes. By the way, if I'm going too fast for you, then chill, have a tea, relax, review the video, watch it again. We've covered the 5 shapes or positions of the pentatonic minor scale. By the way, if you wanted to learn the major pentatonic scale shapes, you just have. All you have to do is take your shape, for example, position 1, and shift it back 1, 2, 3 steps and play the same shape there. Magically and mysteriously it becomes a major pentatonic scale shape because the notes have moved around the root note, and we'll talk about that when we come to some theory a bit later on. But yeah, if you're playing in the key of A, say you're playing over an E major, sorry. You could play minor blues, say if you're bending those thirds up to make them major. Or you could take it all back, 1, 2, 3, and play it there. And you get major blues. So 2 different ways of using the same scale, shift it back 3 semitones, 3 frets to make them major. So connecting scales to help you mentally visualize them is a really cool thing to do. Steps on gain channel of the silverback and activates humbuckers. So let's take a look at a linking exercise between 1 and 5. Let's do it in E just to give you a change. So here's 1 in E. Sounds so good. And here is position 5 behind it. Now, what I do when I'm practicing my pentatonic playing is I cycle between 2 scale shapes and then I start to write licks and jam within them. So let's start by showing you how I connect the 2. I go up 5, slide along into 1, and down 1. So I've made a circle of 2 scale shapes. Of course, this could be any 2 scale shapes. It could be, I don't know, a different key, and it could be different shapes. So it doesn't matter which 2 shapes and which key, provided they're neighbours, you want to circle them at a nice slow tempo. Do this with me. Get a tea or a coffee, get yourself prepared, and be in my office in the next 2 minutes, and maybe now. And let's just cycle some together. So we'll start on 5 in the key of E flat. Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. That's the kind of thing you can do to begin with. Once you've got the idea of the rotating, you can change position at will. This is kind of a secret practice technique that I've had for years and years and years that I've taught my private students. I don't teach privately anymore, but this is the kind of thing I did when I did. So you can start on 5, going down. I might just change to 1, back to 5, back to 1. So in my head I'm having to constantly think about 2. I'm changing at will between 1 and 5, and then I come down. So I'm randomly changing or shifting position as I go up or down the scale, which is an interesting thing to do. Kind of let it take you where it wants to take you. Get the idea? Then you would start to write licks and phrases within these 2 scales, or this 1 scale that we've chopped into 5 parts and we're playing part 1 and 5. So here's a really cool lick which takes you from position 5 into position 1. Not a lot of people will play in position 5 because they tend to make 1 their home. Folly. Each of the 5 pentatonic positions should really be home for you as much as position 1, because as much as people talk about breaking out of the box, there's no box to break out of until you know the box. So you've got 5 pentatonic positions, you've got 5 days of the week, and then you get your weekends off. So Monday is position 1 day, Tuesday is position 2 day, etc. And on 5, your Friday, I would spend a day just droning in E and jamming in position 5. Anyway, here's a lick that takes you from position 5 to position 1, nice and slow. I'll do it even slower for you because I think that was probably a bit rushed. So, if you didn't get that as a quick explanation, this might be a bit advanced for some beginners, but it's good fun for you. Take a bit that you can do and work that. It is a bend from the 12th fret B string to the next available scale note, like this. Make sure you don't bend with the fingers, bend with the wrist. When you've done that bend, you return it and you pick chromatically, which means every note that you encounter on the way down, semitone at a time, 12, 11, 10. So, 12th fret G string, slight bend, blues curl. That was really Wiltshire sounding, wasn't it? Blues curl, alright, me lover. Then we've got, and then bar between the D and G strings, back here at this 9th fret, and we're going to go pick, finger, pick, finger, pick, finger through position 5. Slide. Like that. Deactivation of the BadCat. So we've got the 5 positions of the pentatonic. We've got a way of linking 2 scales, and I've shown you that you can cross over them as you go down or go up. You can also link between not a neighbouring one, but one a bit further away. So for example, if I'm in position 1, and then I've got 2 here, and I've got 3, I would go 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, activate BCAM, synchronise. Here's a 1 to 3 synchronisation. So nice and simply, it's a big circle, you've got to slide in between. I'll do a few of those. You can join me if you'd like at this tempo. 2, 1. Enough pentatonic shenanigans, but maybe one more thing. If you want to make a scale sound musical, don't just practice the scale, practice music in the scale. Lots of ways you can do that, but the real work to do is to write your own licks and phrases. So what I tend to do is include 6s, major 6s and 2s into my pentatonic, and kind of make what we call a Dorian and a blues, a Blorian type thing. So rather than just going, I would tend to do something more like this. So I'm including that nice 2 right at the top, which sounds open and kind of strange. But you can also do things called patterns, and patterns are a way of playing a scale in a sequence, and that makes things sound really musical rather than just, here's a scale that I'm playing. Like that. So for example, I like to use patterns of 6 and 5. 5 because I like Marty Friedman, and 6 because it's a lot easier. So here is a pattern of 6, and there's how you play it in a position 1, coming down a scale. So it would be literally 6 notes, and then that's your first note played. So 1, 2. Now I tend to say that's the E string played. Now we do B string, and then a G string, and then a D string. It's pretty simple, yeah? It's just 6 notes, change string. Now the picking method I'm using for this, as I'm using a beautiful gravity plectrum, you see before you this fine sunny day, and I'm picking up, down, up, down, up, down, and then I change string, up, down, up, down, up, down. Let me give you a close-up of the picking. Okay, so. So as you can see, it's all kind of soft and styly, and what I'm doing is I'm not picking in a conventional up and down motion all the time. I do a lot of sweeping between two strings. We call that economy picking. I'll talk about that a bit more in depth next time I download my brain to this video for you. But essentially, I have a thick plectrum that doesn't move, and I hold it very softly and get back, and that does the job for me. So let's move on to something a little bit more important.